90 Day Fiancé The Other Way star Danielle Gates. You remember her? She left New York City to be with her new husband in the Dominican Republic, only to come there and then say, I've changed my mind. I want to live here. We're not going to go back, after telling this man that the whole plan was to bring him back to the United States. And she didn't even tell him she didn't apply for the K-1 visa. Well, now it's being exposed the real reason Danielle decided that she wanted to leave America and live a new life in the Dominican Republic. And you will not even believe this story. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So every once in a while, if you are not here for our Tuesday takeover, this is when we talk about 90 Day Fiancé and all the iterations of 90 Day Fiancé. And these last few weeks, we have been recapping 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way. It's actually one of my favorite series that 90 Day Fiancé does. But this is not my favorite couple. We have been talking about this couple, Danielle and Yohan. And honestly, a lot of people have not been loving Danielle because we all looked at her like, wow, not her bamboozling this man, making it seem like, yes, we're going to get married, we're going to live this beautiful life together in New York City. And come to find out, you didn't apply for the K-1 visa and you lied to him about it, only to come to the Dominican Republic and say, yeah, you know about moving to the United States? No, I want to live here. I'm done. I'm breaking up with New York City. And in my head, I rationalized that as, okay, you know, a lot of people left New York during the pandemic. A lot of people are leaving New York in droves because it's expensive, but they're not leaving the country. Okay, maybe a small handful. A lot of people are not leaving the country, though. So in my head, I rationalized. I was like, okay, maybe that's why she's leaving. It is expensive to live here. And I know a couple of people that have left the country just so they can have a different experience. But they're back. But I also thought to myself, and a lot of you were like, why wouldn't she? Because, you know, there was that scene in the early episodes where her friends were like, you're going to quit your job even after the retirement specialist tells you, well, if you stayed on another year, that could mean an extra $15,000. That's an important detail to keep in mind as I tell you this story. And this story, I cannot believe I'm just seeing because it came out in February. But this was too juicy for me not to talk to you about because I could not wait till next Tuesday. And like I said before, every once in a while, the last time we talked about a 90 Day Fiancé story, and we did a separate video outside of recapping the show, was Pedro. Pedro and that relationship. Have they divorced? I need to do a follow-up on that. Stay tuned. And let me know in the comment section if you want to do a follow-up. But our friends over at Starcasm exposed this back in February. I'm so mad that no one told me, even when we recapped the episodes. So they write this. 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way star Danielle Gates surprised her Dominican husband, Yohan, by revealing that she no longer wants him to move to the United States with her, as you know. She explains that it's too expensive to live in New York City, and she would rather move to the Dominican Republic permanently to enjoy, quote, a life in the sun with family and with peace. The reveal was a huge shock to Yohan, as you may recall, but he may be even more shocked to find out how much Danielle can't afford to live in New York City, as evidenced by her 2022 bankruptcy filing. Let me read that again for you. He may be even more shocked to find out at how much Danielle can't afford to live in New York City, as evidenced by her 2022 bankruptcy filing. Let's break this down. So they do break this down. Shout out to Starcasm for this. Danielle initially filed for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, aka voluntary repayment bankruptcy, on January 22nd, 2022. A couple of weeks later, Danielle applied to have her filing changed to a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, aka liquidation bankruptcy. According to the filing, Danielle has liabilities in the amount of $224,584.42. Her monthly income was $1,300 less than her monthly expenses. So she was spending way more than she was making. And they said, including her high New York rent, Danielle mentioned on the show. As you may recall, she says, I paid $4,000 just for my apartment, Danielle told Yohan. It turns out that Danielle was a little less than half right. On the bankruptcy filing, she lists her, quote, rental expenses as $3,475 a month. Well, you know, a lot of people exaggerate when they talk about numbers, but she exaggerates a lot. What is mostly wrong about Danielle's statement, they write, to Yohan is her claim that she actually paid her rent. Oh, damn. This is why a lot of you, and when we talk about celebrities and things like that, but there are a lot of people fronting on social media and in public about their finances. So they write this. According to the filing, Danielle owed $36,000 in rent for an apartment in Yonkers. She also listed a Bronx apartment in the filing, and that Bronx apartment is the only one listed under the section for unexpired personal property leases. I'm guessing that means Danielle no longer lived in the Yonkers apartment at the time of the bankruptcy filing, and she had relocated to the Bronx apartment. So she owed rent over in Yonkers and then left that, and now, okay, girl, ooh, this is messy. Danielle's biggest debt listed in the filing was the $80,000 she owed to EasyPass. What? She owes $80,000 to EasyPass. For those that don't know what EasyPass is, it's one of the ways that you pay toll to, you know, kind of from going different parts of the city. You have to pay tolls, and EasyPass is one of the ways that you do that. So you're not exchanging actual money. It's a sensorized thing. Danielle's biggest debt listed in the filing is $80,000 she owed to EasyPass, which she described as a business debt. So you may remember she was a teacher, but she was also a yoga instructor and things like that. I don't know if I trust her when she says this is a business debt. Just saying, I don't know if I trust that. I mean, she doesn't seem trustworthy at this point. In second place was more than $60,000 in student loan debt. Well, you know, join the club. Join the club. Look, just saying, a lot of people have student debt. So I'm going to give you this one. So in second place, more than $60,000 in student debt, followed by $36,000 Danielle owed for rent, as we mentioned. They continue, they said there were numerous credit card companies and collection agencies listed, as well as $4,600 that Danielle owed for parking tickets and penalties. Like, she's just an irresponsible person. And I think we kind of had clues that Danielle was an irresponsible person from watching the show when we were talking about her retirement, and if she just stayed one more year, she could get extra money. But I even gave her a leeway with that. But remember when she said, when her friends asked her, so how are you going to make money in the Dominican Republic? She said, manifest it.
Shut up! That is so stupid!
And you know I am all about manifestation, but that's not going to pay my rent right now, okay? That's not going to pay the rent. I am manifesting more money, but I still got money already that I'm making from my job. So they say there are numerous credit card companies and collection agencies listed, as well as $4,600 that Danielle owed for parking tickets and penalties. A discharge was granted to Danielle on May 19th, 2022. So this is the discharge filing. Creditors cannot collect discharged debts. This order means that no one may make any attempt to collect a discharged debt from the debtors personally. For example, creditors cannot sue, garnish wages, assert deficiency, or otherwise try to collect from the debtors personally or discharge debts. Creditors cannot contact the debtors by mail, phone, or otherwise in any attempt to collect the debt personally. Creditors who violate this order can be required to pay debtors damages and attorney's fees. However, a creditor with a lien may enforce a claim against the debtor's property subject to that lien unless the lien was avoided or eliminated. For example, a creditor may have the right to foreclose a home mortgage or repossess an automobile. So this is part of the reason why she filed bankruptcy. Please understand, we are not shaming anyone that might have debt, that might file for bankruptcy. These things happen. I think the big issue here for a lot of people, especially viewers, they're like, oh, so this is the reason why you did not want to go back to New York, why you wanted to leave and go to the Dominican Republic. You're not being honest. You're not being honest with the audience, and you're not even being honest with your husband. So Sarcasm continues, and they said the list of debts not discharged by the bankruptcy filing included most student loan debts and debts for most fines, penalties, and forfeitures or criminal restitution obligation. Criminal restitution obligations. They write, I don't know if the latter includes parking tickets and penalties. I'm hoping that's what that means. It might be. It might be. Because do we need to do a Google search on her? Okay. I mean, at this point, what did my mother always used to say? If you lie, you steal. If you steal, you kill.
Hold on, guys. I have to get in front. Hold on. Excuse me.
It's unclear how recent the bankruptcy filing would impact Danielle's chances of receiving a spousal visa for Yohan. So this is where it gets even more interesting. Because you remember, as 90-Day Fiancé connoisseurs and enthusiasts as we are, we understand in order to file for a K-1 visa, it's very expensive. We've seen other stars before have to get a co-signer because they couldn't afford it, or they don't have the credit history or the requirements that the government requires for a person to co-sign or be the sponsor for someone coming from another country here. And based off of this information, her bankruptcy and not having the money and debt, she wouldn't be able to bring him here. So that's the truth. Sarcasm says the same. They said it's unclear how a recent bankruptcy filing would impact Danielle's chances of receiving a spousal visa for Yohan. As fans of the numerous 90-Day Fiancé shows are well aware, you can be flat broke and still bring someone into the country as long as you have someone willing to be a sponsor. But did she have anyone? Probably not. And her family probably was like, I'm not supporting you. Maybe she's borrowed money from them before, and they're like, no, she's not reliable. Based off of this history that we're looking at right now. They write, I can only assume that Danielle will reveal the bankruptcy filing to Yohan and viewers this season. If so, I assume we will learn more when Danielle films an inevitable meeting with an immigration attorney to discuss her and Yohan's situation. I wonder if that will be shared. If it's not shared until the tell-all, because I know it's going to come out during tell. This came out back in February. Danielle, you got a lot of explaining to do. I know she's going on her social media. She's talking about a new business that she's trying to do. I think she's like buying some sort of property or things like that. Because everyone has concerns about how are you making money in the Dominican Republic? I don't trust her. This is and for ladies and gentlemen, one of the most important questions you should ask someone on a date is not about all these little finicky things. Oh, so what kind of job do you do? Because plenty of people are living paycheck to paycheck. And I understand it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it might be a very critical, important question for you to ask someone so that you can kind of get a sense of how they deal with money. Because money is one of the number one reasons people get divorced. Finances. Now, I definitely don't see any hope for Yohan and Danielle. But I want to be like, Yohan, get away, run. Like she trying to ruin your good credit.
Can y'all believe this shit? Can y'all believe this shit?
Damn, she bamboozled him. Guys, I want to know your reaction to this. As I said to you before, we don't normally cover 90 Day Fiancé side stories unless they are juicy. And this was too juicy. I could not avoid it. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
You bring the light, I got the fuse.